Hello my friends, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Scenes, which is also today an episode of Creative Chat, and we are on the set where we're going to shoot the next two shootings for the tutorials. They will be as time lapses on YouTube, but then you can find the full tutorial on Udemy and Skillshare because I'm expanding my channel a little bit. And you can see today a little bit behind the scenes. The rest of the video will be me talking about over the pictures to see all the different, talking about the different creative steps. And today we have the photographer Kerstin and our two models, Alex and NoRa, to assist us in the creative project. And the camera already says we should start. See you. Bye. Hello my friends, I'm back in the studio. It was a really great day, a very interesting shooting, and I think I told you a little bit about in the intro that I am doing a longer tutorial course on Udemy and Skillshare because there it's possible to do multiple hours of tutorials. So we are going through planning of a composition, and I am preparing stuff that you can do on your own. That was really important to me. I'm showing you all the basics on what's important for a composition, how do you plan it, how do you execute it in Affinity Photo to get a really great result. And I came up with ideas for a simple concept. So we have one scene in the shooting, which is a cloning scene. So we have the same model multiple times in the same shot. And the other one is a flotation, or how do you say, someone floating in the air, which is also very easy to create. So these are interesting concepts and you can get really creative with them, and we did both of them today. So it was a bit stressful maybe because we had only 3 hours for these two scenes, and that might sound like it is a lot, but actually if you consider that everybody has to get there, and then we have to move around the furniture in there because this is normally a restaurant, then build up all the technical stuff like the flashes, the camera, the tripod, then like setting it up correctly so we have a good quality of the light, and we have to go through all like clothing options, the scene, like how can I say, the postures, where the people are, what postures they have, what emotional expressions they have, go through the story. And we had to do a lot of that on location because everybody in the team was volunteering for that project. So it was really, really nice from them to do that. But this also meant that we couldn't prepare every detail before the shoot, and also we were very time limited. But I find this is actually a bonus because under these conditions, you learn to work faster and more efficient, and like be more snappy and work with your creativity instead of planning everything to the last detail and then just executing it. So this was really cool. It was a great experience. I want to do more of these things also for the channel. And like I said, I will put the project as a time lapse on my YouTube channel. So what I'm doing in Affinity Photo is coming as a time lapse, so you can look through the steps, which is also kind of a preview for the courses on Udemy and Skillshare, which I hope you enjoy. And I really like the platforms. I checked them out, I tested them. I really like the format, especially because you can go into a lot longer formats. On YouTube, you're really limited to like 15 minutes, maximum 20 minutes. After that, people just don't have the attention span, and I know it also from myself. I mean, there is some people who can pull it off, and you can also do it if there is like an interview or discussion, stuff like that, where you are able to listen for longer. But in a learning situation, that is not so good. So people wouldn't really watch that. I also know it from my statistics and from other YouTubers. And on Udemy and Skillshare, you can do that. First of all, because the videos come in small chunks. It's built up as a lecture. You're in a like a learning environment. You can go offline, online as often as you want. And you are more in this mindset, okay, that you are just on the platform for learning, not for entertainment, not for something else. There is no thumbnail bar on the side with cute cats and gaming videos and all that distracting stuff. So It's really interesting and different experience where you are more focused. So I really like that. But let's get back to the shooting. I don't want to go too much into these platforms. So it was a really interesting process today. Also, like working on location, figuring all these things out. And of course, on location, you get a lot of different new ideas. Some of the things where you even sketched it out before and you do a lot of research and you did your mood board, you find that, okay, it doesn't work that way. Or it could be more interesting in another way. So you work with these situations. And a lot of this is also, of course, dependent on the people who are there, specifically the models. So some things that might have sounded great in your mind don't maybe work with that specific person because she has another kind of energy, another kind of expression about her. So you want to come up with something else. So this is a really interesting situation, and I think this is also the interesting part about working with a team, because you're forced to get out of your comfort zone and think and see your work and your ideas in new angles. And of course, everybody is pitching in from their kind of background. So it was really good to have these two professional photographers there. Because they had different kind of perspectives on how to do these things and how to set up the camera. So we had a little bit of discussion on how to do it, where to set the camera. And for me, from my background as an artist, also studying fine art and stuff like that, of course, my concepts come a lot more from classic paintings, all these kind of classic artists that I studied, and that are more interesting to me. So the kind of dynamic you have, the kind of interaction you have. And this is, by the way, very interesting to study if you compare modern photography to classic paintings, and you have a different flow in the picture. You have a different kind of interaction and storytelling through the postures, the gestures, the mimics, all these kind of things that happen, and also the light, the colors, all these kind of things. Because of course in a painting, you can do whatever you want. So you are a lot more free than you would be when you work with a camera. But this also gives you a different perspective when you come from the background of these classic arts and look at a scene. You imagine the scene different than a modern photographer would do that. But at the same time, I think it's maybe, well, I wouldn't say it's maybe more alive. It feels like, I couldn't even say, because I don't want to say the other version is worse or such, because it's not. It's just a different approach to that. But it was interesting to see these two different approaches that we had. And also for me, of course, the most important part was the artistic background, the creative story that I had in my mind. While for the photographers, it was more important to be technically correct, about the details. I say, no, you can't set this up like that because this and that. And I said, no, I want to have this kind of room dynamic and stuff like that. So for example, there was at one point, they said to me, or the photographer said to me, you have to set up the camera while the model is in the scene, so you're actually seeing what's going on. And I said, no, I'm doing it the other way around. I'm setting it up without the model inside, because first I want to have a nice, interesting dynamic in the room, in the structure of the room, and then I can pose the person inside of the room so she fits and harmonizes with this kind of structure. And if I do it at the same time, it doesn't work. I have to have it's like preparing the canvas and then painting on it. You can't do it at the same time. You just, you go step by step, and you want to have the one energy in check and understand what's going on. And then you want to add elements to that, because this is how you do drawing, basically. You sketch out the room and then you add some details and you add some more details. It doesn't all come together at the same time. So probably for a photographer, the look is different, where they say, no, because everything is already there and we see it as a complete scene, we plan everything at the same time. So that was a really interesting kind of perspective to see that kind of thing. And this also gave me the impression and the understanding that I construct a lot more in the picture in a more, I wouldn't say classic way, but more like an artist, basically, like you would sketch, like you would paint, with all these structures and lines and stuff that is happening in the picture that guide the eye and all these kind of things to bring them together and add them piece by piece. How you say, like a mosaic, basically. So it's a different kind of process, and it's a bit more constructed, of course. But it's, I don't know, it's an interesting approach. I don't know if I explained that good. I hope it's still interesting for you to listen to that kind of thing. And I want to do more of those. I also want to do more of the interviews. By the way, this is a part also for the creative chat part. I was a bit bummed out. I was really depressed about how views the interview with the fashion photographer got. And it's okay. I really understand that, because afterwards I was thinking like, okay, you guys don't really come too much in contact with fashion photography. So maybe this was a wrong choice from my side. I should have done the interview differently, because the photographs that you do are probably more about portraits of the family and landscapes and maybe architecture. When you see a nice temple on a journey, stuff like that is more interesting than photographing a fashion model, because who is photographing a fashion model in their normal everyday life? It just doesn't happen. It's kind of just too much out of the, how do you say, of the, like, you know what I mean? It's too distant from what you would normally do. So I try to find more interview partners that are closer to the interests that you have, which also interests that I have, of course, but that makes sense more to the nature of our community and also the concept of the channel. So it was depressing. I was pretty sad about that. I invested a lot of time and energy and passion into that interview project, but it didn't work out, and I understand why it didn't work out. So sometimes you just need to have a kind of a slap on your hand to understand your community better. So it was a good and a positive and a negative part about that. But it finally, it helped me understand my own channel a lot better. And I hope, by the way, that this project is also interesting for you. And I think this is kind of, compositions is a fun thing to do that is so open and applicable to so many different things, like the photographs of your children or your spouse or whatever you want to photograph. You can set it in scene and understand how that scene works and all the dynamics inside of that and making it look beautiful. And I have a lot of people who say, hey, I came to your channel to understand how to use the software, but then I stayed for this kind of inspiration that you give from the artistic background, a little bit of the philosophy and theory that I let flow in with the videos. And so it's like inspirational to see that, hey, you can even create something. It's not just about altering your pictures that you have. You can create something completely new out of your imagination, and you can see yourself as an artist, because everybody can be an artist, because everybody has creativity inside of them. You just need to let this voice out a little bit and see what you can do with that. So I hope to give even more inspiration with this course and with these shootings, and do more projects like that in the future, and also to open up new paths and new dimensions to the channel with these bigger formats on Udemy and Skillshare, where you have the freedom to do a really long tutorial and go really into detail, but at the same time give it in small chunks in a very learning focused environment. So I really, really enjoy the page. I joined myself as a student now also, so I can see it from the other side. And the tutorials I watched so far, I have really enjoyed them. I have to say, I learned a lot more than I do on YouTube, because YouTube is great if you want to find some information, but if you want to go deeper, a 15-minute video just doesn't cover it. it's really cool. For example, about sound, I look up how to use a filter effect for my synthesizers, and the guy on YouTube explains it for 15 minutes, and I get this like snippet of how to do it. But then you go on Skillshare and you have an hour or 2 or 3 hours about the same thing, and you see it for so many different angles and what it really means and how it's placed in the complete concept of everything, that you then not only have this like one use, but you actually understand what it is, where it comes from, why you use it like that. So this is why I enjoy it in that way. Okay, I'm talking too much again. Thank you very much for listening, and see you in the next episode. Bye.